Welcome to East St. Paul's regular planning meeting. The time being 5:30, I'll call it to order. CAO, can I please have the resolution to adopt the agenda for this evening?
Be resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Can I get a mover? Duval, Councillor Postmus. Any questions or edits? Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Move on to the confirmation of the minutes from November 8th.
Be resolved that the council meeting minutes of the November 8th, 2022 inaugural council meeting be approved.
Can I get a mover? Imhoff, seconded by Duval. Call for the question. Any questions? Discussion? Nothing. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, we don't have any delegations tonight, so we'll move on to the public hearing, which was 5.1, variation order 118. I'll call for the resolution.
Be resolved that council will open the public hearing of council for variation order 118, 2022 for 3187 Woods.
Can I get a mover? Postmus Duval has seconded. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Public hearing is now open. We have Mr. Singh with RRPD present to us on the variation order. So I'll hand the floor over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. If you just allow me to share my screen and I can start the presentation. There we go. This is variation order REO 118-2022. The subject property is located at 3187 Birds Hill Road. The applicant is wishing to allow for an increased ladder height on a signage and commercial business zone. This is the variance request table. As you can see, the applicant is applying for varying section 60.3 that clearly states that fascia signs shall not be over 1.97 feet. This is the location map reflecting the subject property. As you can see, the property is located on the intersection of Agar Avenue and Birds Hill Road. This is the site plan provided by the applicant that reflects the building and the parking area. This is the proposed size letters. As you can see, the range of letters are between 2 feet and 3.45 feet, and the bylaw allows for a maximum of 1.97 feet. As I said before, the intent of this application is to put signage that exceeds a maximum height of 1.97 feet. A similar approval was granted for previous business on the same location, but the dimensions of the sign were different at the time. We circulated this application to various departments of the RM. We did not receive any objections. If the council wishes to approve this variance, we recommend 3 conditions. Number 1, this variance is limited to increase letter height as presented in this application. Any changes in use, additions, and/or replacement may require variance approval. Number 2, the signage must comply with section 60.3.3 and section 60.3.7 of the East St. Paul zoning bylaw. And number 3, the applicant owner obtains all the required permits from the River Planning District, the municipality, and the Highways Department if required. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions for the planner?
Okay. Maybe just one. 1.97 to 2 feet. That's the maximum, correct?
So the minimum would be 2 feet.
The minimum.
They are requesting a range between 2 feet and 3.45 feet.
Okay. 1.97 feet is a minimum or a maximum?
That's the maximum in the bylaw.
Right. And you want to increase that to 2 feet.
That's their minimum.
Okay.
Yes, that's the minimum that's presented by the applicant.
Okay.
It's a minimal variance. Okay, no more questions from anybody? Okay, I'll call for the resolution to close the public hearing.
Be it resolved that council close the public hearing of council for variation order 118/2022 for 3097 Brazil.
Can I get a mover? Imhoff, second by Duval. Call for the question, all in favor? That's carried. Public hearing is now closed. And I'll call for the resolution.
Be resolved that variation order 118/2022 for 3187 Brazil Road be approved subject to the following conditions. This variance is limited to increased lettering height as presented in its application. Any changes in use, additions, and or replacement may require a new variance approval. Signage must comply with section 60.3.3 and section 60.3.7 of the St. Paul zoning bylaw, and applicant owner obtains required permits from the Red River Planning District, the municipality, and the highways department if required.
Can I get a mover, please? Postra, and second by Duval. Any discussion? Okay, call for the question. All in favor? Sorry, Orist. It's carried.
See your head go up. I was waiting for the all in favor.
Sorry.
Slowly going up.
Okay, so we'll move on to our bylaws. 6.1, we have the fee schedule bylaw number 2022-16. And resolution.
Be resolved that bylaw number 2022-16 being a bylaw of the RM of St. Paul to establish fees and charges for the year 2023 be given second.
I'm going to mover. Imhoff, seconded by Duval. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. And then for third reading.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-16 being a bylaw of the RM of St. Paul to establish fees and charges for the year 2023 be given third reading. And be it further resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the bylaw on behalf of the municipality.
Can I get a mover? Postmas, seconded by Imhoff. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. (6.2) Fire Prevention and Emergency Response Bylaw, number 2022-18 for first reading of the resolution.
Be resolved that bylaw number 2022-18 being a bylaw of the RM of St. Paul to provide for firefighting, fire prevention, rescue services, the related regulation of fire and other hazards, the adoption of the Fire Prevention and Emergency Response Act, and for establishing, continuing, and operating an emergency service for the municipality to be known as the Fire Prevention and Emergency Response Bylaw be given first reading.
Can I get a mover, please? Horechko, and second by Postmas. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. (6.3) Firefighter appointments, bylaw number 2022-19 for first reading.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-19 being a bylaw of the RM of St. Paul for appointing a fire chief, deputy fire chiefs, captains, lieutenants, and firefighters, and for fixing the remuneration thereof be given first reading.
Can I get a mover? Imhoff, seconded by Postmas. Any discussion? Any questions?
Yep.
Oh, Duval.
Regulatory scales particularly. How do these compare to the other areas like West St. Paul and Springfield? I know we talked to them about the previous bylaw. What are their schedules looking?
The schedules are, well, they vary based on based on the number of firefighters, based on qualifications, based on it's really big. East St. Paul is unique in that we have every firefighter is a City of Winnipeg firefighter. They come with a lot of training. All the training that they receive from the city is put back into East St. Paul. We benefit from that training. I was never given the schedules to the bylaw. I could ask for a comparison, and that's why when I wrote the request for decision, I did say for consideration, and if there were any questions resulting from it, that I could definitely reach out. I mean, they do fall within bylaws. Previously, for whatever reason, our fire chief and deputies were placed under a contract. That's really the nature behind this. For putting them back in the bylaws, because that's really where they should be. They're not contract employees.
No, I agree with that move. I'm just wondering how the wage schedules compare.
Yeah, I would have to reach out and get that information from them. I mean, I think that we're very competitive. Most municipalities share that information when they build their bylaws and their schedule fees. So I don't think that we're far off.
Did the fire chief bring that information to you? I guess not.
No.
And I'd be interested in seeing that. I know there's different qualifications, but there are full-fledged firefighters in both municipalities, and they're paid hourly or per call or whatever method. And there's fire chiefs in each of the municipalities. There's a deputy chief, perhaps, maybe not over there. I don't know any other ones, but I would like to see how the other ones are structured and what they're paid.
Yeah, they're structured very similarly in terms of captains, fires, deputy fire chiefs, and whatnot. I mean, the structure is the same. Salary is probably going to range, but I can get that information.
Yes, I'd like to see that before the second reading.
Yeah.
Councillor Harachko?
Well, the proposal is basically just the cost of living.
It's not even cost of living.
So, yeah.
It's under cost of living by 2%.
And keeping in mind that the fire chief and the deputy fire chief did not see an increase in their remuneration for 4 years.
Yeah. So
what seems like, a high jump really is not at the end of the day.
Councillor Postmas?
Yeah, and to what Councillor Bell saying, it'd still be nice to know maybe we're too low. Like it'd be good to know how we're compared to everybody. I know in Springfield, I do know a fireman there because I have my car stored in this building, and it was similar. They're paid by levels. He said they were paid from $16 to $20. They were by levels. Right. So the level of firemen you are. So I'm guessing he said that would be compared to the levels of firemen all over. There's a certain level.
Correct. I think that in a lot of rural municipalities, they have they train their residents, and we don't need to train our firefighters.
Train also.
So I'll just finish. We have qualified firefighters in our community. Therefore, we are not paying for the level of training that other municipalities have to pay for. We are very fortunate for the staff that we have, and I completely agree that they should be in a bylaw and they should be a contract employee that we would have to negotiate every year. That takes up staff time, and it also risks losing qualified individuals that we have over any form of negotiations. So I'm happy to see them being placed into the bylaw. And I do think that there would be a pay scale based on qualifications, and we are probably the most qualified fire department for a volunteer structure, which I think we should get away from saying volunteer because they are our employees. So I think we have to remove from saying volunteer as well. Suzanne, is there any way of changing that?
They're actually called pay-per-call.
Okay.
Firefighters.
So it's just some language that we've used.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we should stop saying that as well. Okay. Is there any more questions? No. Okay. Was that my discussion? I forget. No, must have been. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now under policies, general, we have nothing under policies, general business. Then we move down to planning, 8.2. Can I have the resolution for the zoning bylaw amendment?
Whereas July 19th, 2022, council gave second reading to zoning bylaw amendment number 2022-8 with the stipulation that the maximum area for attached accessory buildings be changed from 1,000 square feet as proposed to 800 square feet. And whereas on August 19th, 2022, council signed the zoning bylaw amendment number 2022-08, which included a typo on the zone description, which indicated the maximum area for attached accessory buildings is 8,000 square feet instead of 800 square feet. Therefore, be it resolved that municipal staff are authorized to correct the aforesaid in their zoning bylaw.
Can I get a mover? Horechko, seconded by. Any questions or discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I don't think we need to speak to it tonight, so I just thanks.
Is there anything else needed?
Nope. Thank you very much.
That's.
Okay, under general, we have the 2023 councillor calendar. Can I have the resolution?
Be it resolved that the 2023 council calendar be approved as presented.
Have a mover. Smith, seconded by Imhoff. Any questions, concerns? Nope. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, then under human resource, we have hiring of pay per call firefighters for resolution.
Be it resolved that council approves the hiring of the following pay per call firefighters: Evan Michaels and Owen Park.
I have a mover, please. Postmas and second by Horechko. Any discussion? Okay, call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. EMO, we have the evacuation registration. Oh no, that was the form attached. We have the municipal emergency plan. All the correspondence was, all the attachments are there for council to read. Is there any, all the resolutions, sorry.
Be it resolved that council approve the 2023 municipal emergency plan as presented.
Mover, please. Imhoff, seconded by Postmas. Any discussion, questions in regards to the attachments?
Yes, under contacts, councilor contacts, I am listed there, and I am not on that committee this year. It also has my own landline telephone number on there, but I'm not on there anymore.
Okay.
At least that's what I saw when I looked this up.
It's going to be my comment too.
Know what page that is on?
Do you know the page that it's on?
It's the phone list, committee phone list. Yeah. It's the third one down on the list that we have our agenda listed as.
It's the document titled 2022 Emergency Committee phone list.
Yeah.
I'll speak with our EMO coordinator and have him update that list.
No further questions? Okay, I'll call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. And then I'll have the resolution for the 2023 Manitoba Disaster Management Conference.
Be resolved that all council members CAO and EMO coordinators, Kenneth Wacherick and Yuri Angelik, be authorized to attend the 2023 Disaster Management Conference on January 25th, 27th, 2023 in Winnipeg.
Anna Gruber. Duval, seconded by Imhoff. Any discussion?
Just a comment. This is probably one of the better conferences we're able to go through. And you hear some excellent speakers as they relate to actual incidents that they had to live through and organize, whether they were on the front line organizing it. And it kind of wakens you up that when we sit here, nothing ever happens in St.Paul. It certainly can.
Yeah.
And, so it's good to hear these things.
I agree. It's my favorite conference in the year, and the speakers are fantastic. And it does open your eyes up to disasters and situations that individuals are placed in.
Yeah.
The last conference had officers who responded, frontline officers, to January 6th at in Washington, D.C. And they had their body camera, and they showed us footage from that. And that was extremely eye-opening to the events that happened that day. And both of them that spoke, it was very, very engaging, very.
Well, I'd like to relate to the story, and I tell it to anybody, that several years ago, we had a speaker, a lady, who was on that airplane in New York City that ditched into the Hudson River. You remember that? It hit a flock of geese, the engines died, and it had to land down into the Hudson River. And everyone survived, but she was sitting at the very last seat in the airplane. So she was the last one off. When she got off the water, it was up to her neck. Get off and stand on the wing. We've all seen these pictures. And what a harrowing story that was.
Can't imagine. Councillor Cosmos?
Yeah, I would also agree it is probably the best conference you can go to. It has lots of breakouts. They do a lot in climate change, and we saw in East St. Paul what a climate change rainfall can do to you. So there's a lot of good breakouts, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, so if a council has the ability and the time to go, I recommend attending. Okay, no further questions then? We'll call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. We have no business arising from delegations. No other business. We had correspondence. Any questions or concerns under correspondence tonight? And then I'll have the resolution to move in camera.
Be it resolved that council now move in camera as per section 1523 of the Municipal Act to discuss business development matters and personnel matters, and be it further resolved that all matters discussed while in camera to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Taking a mover, Imhoff, seconded by Duval. Call for the question. All in favor? Carried.
The vote carried.
Can I have the resolution to come out of in camera?
Be resolved that council now moves out of camera and resumes the regular meeting of council.
Can I get a mover? Duval, Postmas. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. And now the resolution to adjourn.
Be resolved that the meeting be adjourned, the time being 7:30.
Mover. Rechko, Imhoff. Question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you and have a good night.